Welcome, everybody, back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. We are fast approaching NWA 76, which means if it's an NWA show, I'm joined by my NWA ride or die, Miss Fiona Lochran. Good evening.
Hello, my love. How are you?
Good. It's melting. I feel like a Milky Way Easter egg. How are you in Scotland?
Yeah, I'm all right. Not quite so hot up here, so
Not quite so. Camping, wrestling, all right the weekend?
busy, busy.
Good, good, good. Well, speaking of busy, we've got someone that's very, very busy on the lead up to NWA 76. He is the reigning, defending NWA World Heavyweight Champion. He's the overman. Why?
Because he's over, man.
It is EC3. Welcome back to the show. How are you?
Oh, fantastic. It sounds so much better coming from a Scottish accent. There's more regality to it. Yeah, like I mean, I'm glad that's catching up, because arenas around the world should be chanting that, and hopefully they will soon as NWA continues to grow. But thank you for having me back.
Yes, it has been nearly, I think it's been a year or so since we last, but before we spoke last year, actually, was not long before NWA 75. So it's good to start with that a year or so ago, winning the NWA, what's in a bull rope match against a good friend of yours, Tyrus. It wasn't just the title that you won, you also retired Tyrus at the time, and still is retired actually to this day. Did that victory for you, was it sort of bittersweet because of the history and retiring Tyrus, or was it vindication for you to win that £10 of gold?
I would say there's a bittersweetness to it when somebody trusts you with their career, especially with how they go out. There's a lot of there's an honor and respect in that. So I always have a great place in my heart for Tyrus, despite what some people may think of him. He's one of the better people I've met in this industry. We came up together through FCW. We had we danced on the game show version of NXT where we were ride or dies because we knew the jig was up, so to speak. We knew the game they were trying to play, and we kind of played it back. And whether that worked to our detriment or not, it definitely made the TV more fun to do and entertaining to watch. In Impact, he was my heavy, my bodyguard. Eventually, he turned on me. Just about everybody in my life tends to at one point, but that's okay. We battled a few times, and then yeah, to come to NWA, he was a big advocate for me to come over there. He was a good champion, great champion. He brought national recognition to a title that not many people knew even existed anymore. And then I retired him. And it is bittersweet in one sense, but again, my goals, my ambitions, my personal drive supersede any sort of bittersweetness and cordiality or friendship because in this life you have to take what you want. And what I wanted was the NWA championship. And that is now what I have for about a year now.
Certainly is. Fee, go ahead. I know you've been.
Yeah, no, it's just coming up. Sorry, that was the cat. It's just coming up to a year now. Obviously, NWA 76 is next month. Adam and I were just talking before you came on. We'd read the article. I know that you haven't had a match announced yet, but we'd read the article on the NWA news section of their website to say that you're pretty sure that there's a good possibility it's going to be Tom Latimer. Um, Obviously you've danced before with Tom in the ring. He's already had that shot. Have you got any? Not that you're going to tell us, but obviously you'll have a few tricks up your sleeves. You know him fairly well. Is
Yeah.
that who you would really like for your opponent, or is that who you
Well,
feel that you're going to end up with?
that's who I feel I'm going to end up with. Is that who I want, per se? I've danced with Tom many times. I've said before, and I'll say it again in any interview. If people do not know, they should know Tom Latimer is one of the most, like, he's one of the best, quote, wrestlers, end quote, in wrestling. Like, I don't think people understand how truly good, how truly talented he is in an 18 by 18 or a 20 by 20. Um, is it who I want to face? Honestly, no, I don't want to face him because if there's anybody capable of beating me on the NWA roster, he's probably the only one. But then at the same time, great challenges mean great, rewards. So to defeat Tom Latimer, I will do what I must to do so. But at the same time, I want him to be hesitant because he's running as the national champion. He's bringing prestige to that title. The fact is that like I will beat Tom, and I don't want him to throw it all away early. I think that would be a mistake on his part. And since I do have a great respect for him, no, I don't want to face him because I don't want to have to defeat him again. Having said that, if it is him, I will, of course, do what is necessary. And it will be a, quote, great match, end quote. But I've just begun this reign, though it might be a calendar year. The things I'm doing with this championship are unparalleled to anybody that has held in the past. Sans Flair or Rhodes. I mean, but in the mob, if I need something, I'll do anything to get it or maintain it. And then therein lies Tom, who probably doesn't need what I'm going to give him.
Yeah. You've defended that belt now way over 30 times. I don't know the exact figure, and obviously been having a little look. The only other person that's defended it more has been Nick Aldis. But you have literally been all around the world with that belt. You were in the UK and in Europe recently, not that long ago. You actually wrestled a good friend of mine from Glasgow, Iron Drew Marshall, down at WAW,
Yes.
which I know was an absolute massive honour for him. He was really, really excited about that and was really, really enjoyed his time in the ring with you. Where have you not been that you would love to visit and love to defend that belt?
No, short of Uganda and soft style, which I'm sure we'll get to. South America would have some interest to me. Mexico would have some interest to me. Where have I been? Japan, Australia, UK, Europe, China, India. You know, I have some more territory to conquer. But where will I take it? As many places as possible. Hell, I'll take it to Antarctica if I have to, and defeat the current reigning, defending Antarctica heavyweight champion Snowplow Jim. I don't know who it is, but there isn't a place on this God's green earth to say, hell, maybe God's atmosphere, I can defend it on the moon, that I wouldn't want to take it. So a lot of opportunities are opening up with the championship. Branding this as a true world's championship is very important to me. I'll go anywhere. And I mean anywhere. Like Uganda for soft style wrestling. So I think that's picking up some steam where some friendly banter and some words said I said in a promo has led to a real opportunity that I may be in the mud pits of Uganda defending the championship. So that might be very cool.
I did see that today on your X account that potentially that is on the card. So I will watch that keenly with interest and see what happens.
I think a lot of people might watch that. I don't know their content distribution strategy, so I don't know the business that's going to be necessary to take place. The way I looked at it, it was who's the fan favorite in soft style? Who's a nice, charming, young, handsome face, fiery, kind of like up and comer that might be worthy of a title shot. And then today they hit me with some massive dude dropping bodies. And I went, oh shit. All right. Well, I didn't bite off more than I chew, but yeah. So we'll see how to get there. It's not something, I don't know, Uganda soft style's budget, but international flights and things like that require some sort of financials. So maybe we can go fund it and give soft style a nice return on investment.
That would be very interesting. You also wrestled my good buddy Damien over here in the UK.
Bro, Iron Drew and Damien were awesome. And since we're talking UK real fast, while it's on the tip of my tongue, I just had a young prospect come over from the UK and train with me for 12 weeks. The technical assassin Brandon Lee. And so we had to send him back due to visa issues, but we're trying to bring him back full-time into the States. The UK has incredible talent. So Iron Drew, Damien, Brandon, like it's cool to be a part of that. And I believe I'm going to return to the UK in October. So
interesting
details to come because I'm not exactly sure where the hell I'm going yet.
It's funny.
Maybe you'll make it back up over the border to Scotland this time. Who knows?
I would love to. I want to see the Aurora Borealis. That'd be cool.
Oh, we got a good shot of them a couple of weeks ago, actually. It was very pretty.
You'll have to take.
Interestingly enough, we have a championship now in wrestling myself, and I'm thinking, perhaps the Overman could shut somebody up that's our champion recently. It could be. Yeah, his name's Mark True. He
Oh, I'll truly whip his ass. Yeah, sure.
but
See what you did there.
I like that. But there's also another guy in Ignite that definitely wants to face you. And actually, when we will bring you back for a third episode because I need to bring him on because he's one of my sponsors. So we need to have that
Oh,
conversation over time. But let's talk territories for a minute. Me and Fee we're eagerly awaiting the territory show that's going to come up with the NWA. Exodus Pro, not long ago, a year ago now, near enough. His
yep.
birthday or a year or so ago, brought on some great talent through. What's the plans for Exodus going forward? And now it's a part of the NWA territories.
It's kind of like what I have with Exodus, NWA Exodus. I have a year full of shows and content that I've yet to release. And that's because I'm trying to figure out the best way to put it forward. That's not, we'll throw it on YouTube and, maybe it gets 1,000 views, but I want to make it special and I want to make it a destination place for young talent to be like, who's going to be the next guys that, whether they're filtering into NWA or AEW, Impact, or even WWE, like I want to be the haven for young up and coming talent to like be that gateway. And I think I really have a good crop of talent there now doing that. 1 year anniversary is coming up. I'll be defending the championship against Richard Holliday, who's very popular in the UK. And that's the least important part of me for Exodus because it's really about platforming our talent, whether it's our champion, Pretty Boy Smooth, with his manager, Pastor CeeLo, Dante Casanova, who I did bring to the UK with me last time and made some waves. I mean, Carson Drake, Lord Cruz, Slimeballs, Tiffany Nieves, just so many talents that are almost there, almost ready, and the world should see them. So, however I do it, the envisioned end goal for Exodus is to be who's next and the reasons why they are next.
I can imagine the talent when you became one of the territories with NWA. I can imagine that was a real boost for the talent on your roster, because that's obviously going to open up a whole wealth of opportunities for them potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't hurt to have those 3 letters attached to your brand. So it definitely gives you some carte blanche and it gives you some stroke. But at the end of the day, we're still an independent organization built on the blood, sweat, and tears of myself and a couple other partners, built off the flaming wreckage of all the idiots that ruined CYN. But like the concept remains the same. And it's always going to be a platform for talent to become who they're supposed to be.
Yeah. You've currently with Exodus Pro, is it just the one belt? Is it just the Exodus Pro Midwest Championship that you've got just now? Are you
Now,
looking to expand your championships?
I'm so glad you asked. The NWA Exodus Midwest champion is kind of defined as who our champion is, and that's currently Pretty Boy Smooth, who's been champion for about 4 months now. On our anniversary show, we are introducing NWA Exodus Tag Team Champions and a Women's Championship. So that will be very cool. And I just got the belt designs in. They're totally on par with my crazy artistic vision. And I can't wait to show the world them.
Oh, I look forward to seeing them then.
Me too. I look forward to. I'm just want to talk the women's a minute because we wax lyrical, me and Fee, every week about the NWA women's division in general, and in particular, Kenzie Page, 22 years old, women's world champion. She runs with the territory, crossfire with her sister. What is she doing that perhaps other wrestlers in the business needs to take a look, women's wrestlers maybe, or even men, that should take lessons from her? Because she seems to be, I mean, I'm not a wrestling scout, or I wouldn't be able to tell, it doesn't really matter what I think about a particular wrestler, but what is she doing that other people need to learn how to do?
I mean, she's succeeding at a young age. So one thing I spent a weekend with her. We were both part of a seminar at Ricky Morton's school, and she's very knowledgeable for her youth. But then she was also very hungry for knowledge. So one thing I'd say for current talent that regardless of gender, you can always learn from a champion is she remains hungry for knowledge and she remains student of the game, asking the right questions, observing, noting, and then being able to pass that information on to people that might not have it. So she's becoming very good at that. I think people can learn for one thing, certainly they can learn from her, which I think is a hold up to a lot of young talent, is their fear of being themselves, where a lot of talents want to play something or try to be something they're not. Well, Kenzie is who she is and owns who she is and enhances who she is in the ring. So you can't change who you are naturally. So I'm always an advocate for embracing who you really are and turning it up. And she does that very well.
Yes, she certainly does. Looking forward to seeing what's next from that division as well. As we move forward to NWA 76, we've just finished the Crockett Cup. When Fee, I know how much you love the Crockett Cup. That's one of the events you went out to see a good few years ago when the Briscoes won it. Am I right?
They did indeed. That was what, 2022? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I believe so. We can't rule out though. I know you mentioned Latimer, but there's another guy that's actually just this past, well, no, 2 weeks ago on Power, took Tom Latimer to the limit. And that is Kerry Morton. And perhaps even Kerry might fancy his chances against the Overman at 76.
Yeah, I'd rip Kerry's throat out. I hope that one is noted and kind of like one of the buzz lines. Yeah, I mean, Kerry's obviously the pedigree of being a child of Morton is a big deal. He owns it, but he's also like kind of that Gen Z version. So I just want to like really just punch his face as much as possible. Granted, he took Tom to the limit. At the same time, there was some nefarious powdering out and sort of avoiding of combat, but also good strategy when you're completely overmatched physically by a psychopath like Tom Latimer in the ring. But Kerry's very talented. He's very spry. He's very intelligent. Almost, well, he knows he's very intelligent, so that might be his downfall. And
well, but smug,
I've definitely
perhaps.
Certainly smug. Smug is a good word. I'd say cocksure prick, but smug is a good word too.
I was being polite.
And as you tend to be. But I could definitely see him being a challenge for me, but I'll definitely say that even if I'm 65 years old and in a walker with 2 artificial knees, I'll still kick his ass.
I approve of this. I've been very boo Kerry for a long time, so
He's a good kid.
I'll take your word for it.
Go on, Fee. Go right ahead, Fee.
Going back to your I don't think I didn't ask you this earlier, I don't think. Going back to the £10 of gold, and all your defenses. Is there anyone? Oh, is that a bum bag, a fanny pack?
Yeah, it's a bum bag, I
amazing.
think.
I love it. Historically, obviously, the lineage of the belt is incredible. The people that have held that championship, the names are just the best of the best. Looking back over all the years from the very, very beginning, from the very, very first champ, if there was one that you could pick in their heyday to fight for the championship, who would it be?
That's a very loaded question. That's very, because there's so many options, and you think of the hate, you think of the raucous environments. I can point a few out because I don't want to. I mean,
I'll not tie you down to just one then.
Like, first off, wrestling Lou Thez to me would be like awesome, especially considering if I went into a time machine and I, wound up in the 50s and 60s to wrestle Lou Thez, and I came in with all my Overman gear and like theme music, and he's just like, "What is this?"
Like Back to the Future.
Yeah, like the man from the future with all these like bells and whistles, where he just go on there and probably stretch me to all sorts of different levels of hell. I mean, if you think about Flair's reign, whether he was a babyface or a heel, the amount of energy he would create in a building, I can't imagine being a part of. You watch territorial wrestling, NWA from 70s and 80s, just watch it and then watch modern wrestling and watch how invested the fans are in the people and what they're doing compared to now. Like, it's just, there's a constant buzz of energy. So Flair in his heyday is one thing. To reverse that, as a dirty bastard heel, I wouldn't mind slapping around Ricky Steamboat, mostly because I had to wrestle as a kid in developmental so much. But no, Ricky's like one of the best ever in the ring. Obviously, one thing would be very cool is that was a brief run. Kerry Von Erich in a Texas atmosphere would be nuts. So those are 3 things I can point to. That would be, well, 4. would be, if I had the time machine, I'd go check that out.
Yeah, lots of options.
Definitely lots of options, and kind of grows nicely when you talk about lineage and history to where NWA 76 is coming from, the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia. There's a lot of lineage there. If you even go back as quite far as when what Shane Douglas did to the NWA belt back then, not necessarily maybe that arena, but he did throw the belt in the bin, and that created ECW. Is there going to be for you? What's it going to be like going in there as NWA World Heavyweight Champion into that prestigious building and defending that title there?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a landmark for what we're doing as a rebranded company with a new focus. I think making our way northeast into the States is pretty important. So there's a lot of diehard fans there. It's just growth takes time. And so I think we've done the right things to position ourselves to make this jump into the historical place of 2300 Arena. But I've been there before. I've gotten 619 by Rey Mysterio in there. I wrestled for the Ring of Honor Championship in there. I wrestled Tommy Dreamer in there, if I recall. So being in that building and knowing the fans, like, it's cool to go back as the NWA champion. 30 years since Shane Douglas, did what he did. They say history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. So maybe after I defend this title against whomever it may be, I can do something landmark with that championship, and I don't know, maybe create EC3W, or I'll just win and we'll continue our growth.
Wow, interesting. Just don't throw it in the bin. I don't.
Yeah, I don't know how well that would go down.
I don't.
A wise man who has a podcast and booked wrestling for us said controversy does create cash too. So
and that wise man has been with us a few times on the podcast.
Yeah, I think so. I think I've seen it.
You may well have done. Had some good wisdom on that from us. Indeed, we do like Eric. We certainly do. I hope to have him on actually soon. But going back to NWA recently on the CW app, which, be honest, and a bit controversial, is a little bit of a pain for us. We've had to.
I hear that. That upsets me, because when I'm in Italy and I'm in France, people are clamoring for the product, and it seems difficult via the app. So maybe that's something we need to work on.
I was actually going to ask you about that. Obviously, you're taking the belt around the world. So people are watching you defend it in their home countries, and then they want to see you on TV, and they can't. So I went on a bit of a crusade about it for a while, and eventually I didn't watch it out of principle, and eventually I gave in. So I had to buy a VPN. So we have to watch it through a VPN. So a lot of people, unfortunately, aren't having their eyes on the product. I know that for the last 6 months, all I've heard is, "Oh, we're working on it," but we haven't heard anything. But I love the product.
We're working on it. I know and WPC is a very smart guy, especially in the business aspects of entertainment, where there are things in the works, but he keeps everything very close to the vest. So I have a little bit of knowledge, but I know that one thing is a huge issue, because if people, ease of consumption, it's hard to make people, like, even changing platforms. Like, if you have a link on Instagram to go to your YouTube, things get buried in algorithms. Like, so ease is very important to find a way to consume a product, because that's how a lot of people find things, is they didn't know they were looking and they found it. So I think that's something to definitely take into account and hang in there. Hopefully we get that sorted soon, because you think about the UK or Europe or the international market in general, Spanish is the most popular language in the world, where those are millions and millions and millions of people that could possibly be invested in our product, and we should be able to get that to them.
Definitely so.
Sorry, Adam, I kind of hijacked your CW thing, so I'll let you.
Sorry, don't worry. Just going back into that, we've obviously seen a lot of changes that we've loved. I mean, we've always loved the cold open on Power, which has been great. We've noticed a big change in production, and that's come along really well. What sort of changes have you noticed since that move to the CW app?
I'd say from an aesthetic front, everything that you've mentioned, and I think that's important. I think the ideas of I like the ideas of the venues changing from studios to like arenas, where it gives like different looks at things. Why I like baseball so much is because, granted, the game is played the same way, but every city you go to has a different looking field, And there's different like attributes to the field. Like in Cleveland, our left field wall is 19 feet, or if you go to Detroit, it's 13 feet. Or this place's center field's 420 feet deep, and this place's center field's 404. So a fly out in this city might be a home run in this city. Long baseball rant for people that don't even know baseball. Sorry, British. But the aesthetics, I think, looking good is very important. Well, one thing, and maybe it should be a focus, is not based on what the company's doing, but how the talent interacts with the newfound gifts we've been given with higher end production and things like that, is to making sure that when they walk out that curtain and that red light's on, they look, act, and perceive themselves as the stars they want to be.
Definitely so. I like it. I think the production, and as you say, when you go to different arenas, and then it's nice because sometimes you dip back to the power station, as you call it, on there. It's really good to see those difference of changes. Regarding though, I actually want to bring up another name quickly because regarding your title, potentially someone, depending on whether they want to drop their title as well, is the non-binary Nightmare, because she's currently got the men's television title, right? Max. And if Max wants to go for your title, you could be facing a non-binary Nightmare at 76.
Regardless of any binary, if there's a human being in the ring, I will defeat them. So they have a pulse, they have a heartbeat, they can see, hear, feel, touch, smell. They got 5 senses. Yeah, I'll fight anybody.
Interesting. That's okay. Just a quick one. What was going to say? CW app. Obviously, NXT is coming onto CW. Now, I don't want to talk too much of crossovers, but we know the crossovers they're having with TNA, and it's been quite a success, for want of a better phrase. If this was to happen, would it be something that you would like to happen? And if so, is there anyone, I don't know if you watch NXT, that you have your eye on that perhaps the Overman would like to go one-on-one with in the NXT?
What's the champ's name again? Trick?
Will it? No, it's Ethan Page now.
Oh, yeah. No. Well, first off, I'm the real Ethan, so definitely I want to kick his ass. Yeah, I forgot he won a couple weeks ago. You're right. But Trick was very engaging as a talent. You can't. We're in 2024, so everybody has knowledge. Everyone knows. There's different companies. There's different talents. There's different scenarios, and I think as an industry, embracing them is better than denying them. So any sort of collaboration, crossovers, co-brands, I'm all about that. Especially when I'm doing with NWA Exodus and local independents, or we did a nice collaboration with Mission Pro, which is a women's promotion in Texas, as we just started, and I wanted to make sure we had a women's division off the bat, but you just can't like, first day, here's champion, like you want to build it up. So at the time, Tiffany Nieves being their champion was on our show defending their title, and that gave the women's division A, instant credibility, B, something of significance. So it's not just, hey, it's a match. So there's reasons for everything. And I think wrestling's best when everybody has a purpose and a reason. So anybody can go have a quote good match, but it's the why that is what intrigues me and what I want to build around. So collaborations, I don't know if you know Rick Rubin, but he says true creativity always comes in the form of collaboration. Whether you're collaborating with others or you're collaborating with the mind you have and everything you've ever consumed, whether it's television, books, film, music, everything that's ever influenced you as a creative person is a collaboration in your mind, and it comes out in your own way, your original way.
Interesting. Fee, go ahead.
No, I was going to come back again to 75 last year when you won the belt. You had a bull rope. That was the stipulation for the match, was a bull rope match with Tyrus. On a personal level, I'm not a big fan of gimmick matches for big matches like the World Heavyweight Championship. I very much would prefer just to see a proper regular wrestling match. What's
so
your thought?
You didn't like the Ultimate Match of Death?
I never saw it because I didn't
you
have
gotta watch
access to it. I will now, but I didn't have access to it at the time, so I never got to see it.
It's on the NWA YouTube now. We uploaded it individually.
I'm not a huge deathmatch fan, to be fair
But
to you.
here's the thing. Matt Cardona, myself, we're not deathmatch fans either. So that's why we put ourselves in this situation. But everyone like stylizes wrestling. Like, we need a cruiserweight match here, or we need a car crash match here. And the way I look at wrestling is like, at the end of the day, somebody's winning and somebody's losing. So there's no real styles. Now, while we built it up as the ultimate match of death, it's not a death match because anybody can have a death match.
Yeah.
This was the ultimate match of death. Big difference. And then the creativity we put into it is you dress it up in that scenario, but you tell a great story and you have a great match based on that. So I recommend picking it up because it's not a death match. It's the ultimate match of death. But I do understand, the apprehension of stipulations in title matches. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's fine. Sorry. No, I'm saying that'll be my viewing tonight then before I go to bed. I will watch it. If it's on the YouTube, then it's easy to access. But yeah, that was my kind of thing. Like I don't mind stipulation matches in general, but I feel for that for a big match like the NWA World Championship that I would prefer just to have a regular one-on-one wrestling match with no gimmicks, no stipulations, just a pure kind of wrestling match. That was basically where I was going with that, really.
I agree. I think the thing with stipulations are they're desserts after entrees, right? So sometimes things require stipulations. Sometimes if they're done right. What I hate, and I agree with you on this, is like, why is this stipulation match? Like, what is the reason? Just throwing, it's going to be a ladder match. Like, wait, why?
Yeah.
Well, because they flip. I'm like, that's stupid. There's no why. But if you give everything a reason why, then the stipulations, I think, add some intrigue. Everything should be settled originally, though, one-on-one, mano-y-mano, rules intact. And at the same time, if Tyrus is nearing the end and he wants to have, like, one reason the bull rope match for him was very special is it's because something that his mentor, Dusty Rhodes, made famous, and he never had one on a high-end platform.
Okay.
And so, like, I think that's why he wanted to go that route. And it worked for me because, I mean, at the end of the day, Tyrus versus EC3 in a wrestling match could be okay. But I didn't want to have a good match, an okay match. I didn't want to have a great match. What I wanted to have was a Greek fucking tragedy take place. And so the bull rope stipulation allowed that to happen.
I for one, loved the ultimate match of death, by the way. I thought it was great. And Cardona's great to have around. And was he announced for 76? Can't remember. Don't think he has.
I don't believe so yet. So
not yet. Maybe it's coming up for sure. There is another event though coming place after 76 that I always like to talk about with because last year's one hit the headlines in more ways than one. It was Samhain, and that's coming back this year. But last year's show, the arena it was in was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. But could it get any more extreme this year than Samhain was last year?
What? I guess how many people are doing recreational drugs on camera? That would be the question. Hey, no, that building, Samhain, I found it. So
well, thank you, because it looked amazing.
It was a super cool venue, and yeah, it made the headlines in more ways than one. Like, I mean, pro wrestling, things happen. I'm not involved in that process, but I think it was a big deal of nothing. But at the same time, whatever. But can it get more extreme? Again, this is where I kind of agree with you both. And like, as long as the stipulations match the reasons why, So Tom and I did wrestle on that show in a quote no limits match, which was kind of like a throwaway stipulation in the fact that everything else on the show had a stipulation. And if you're going to main event a 13 match card and everything's been already done, like, maybe you need something to dress it up. Where at the same time, I would have been fine with a regular one-on-one, no matter how many drugs were done, how many tables were broken, how many chairs were smashed, how many people fell off of balconies. I am fully confident that, all right, just give me the regular deal and one-on-one, and I will deliver. So can it be more extreme? Possibly. But then when you give somebody a stipulation with no reason why, sometimes they don't feel why. And I think wrestling is very feel-based, where a bull rope match with Tyrus, I can feel because I know what it means to him and I know why we're doing it. You have a good stipulation, like a ladder match, like Sean and Razor. There was a reason why, you know. Iron Man match, there's a reason why. Cage match, because its intensity is too much that we can't let it get out of control. If the stipulation matches the why, they're great. If they're just there for shit's sake, then maybe it's a good match, but does it have any meaning?
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. But I look forward to Samhain. I loved it last year, but what was the match the clowns were in? Can you remember?
Oh man.
Oh, that was Yabo and Ruffle. Was it I can't remember. It was all the boxes, wasn't it? I can't remember what they called it, but they had all the boxes.
I can't
Yeah.
remember. It was just good. I did
nuts.
love Colby Carino as well in that. Colby had a great match. But Fee, as we're starting to wrap up now, I always, because you're the NWA queen yourself, I always give you the last question before we start saying goodbyes. So it's over to you for the last question for the Overman.
You always do this to me.
I know, you should be
I am going to go down the non-wrestling route.
Okay.
Great.
If you couldn't be a wrestler and you had to choose one other sport to compete in, what would it be?
Oh, I would have been a baseball player if it was a sport.
Oh.
Yeah, I played baseball. And so since you don't know what that means, I would have played football. I'd played football. I'd have been a punter. What are they? A goalie?
No, we don't have that. We don't. That's rugby.
Yeah, no, you have punters, but they're different.
Yeah, rugby is the sport there that you're talking about.
Yeah. Oh, dude, rugby's cool. I play rugby.
Rugby's good. I like rugby. Rugby's good.
In honor of the Olympics, I mean, maybe for my bit, decathlete, because that means you got to be good at 10 things, but it also means you're not the best at one thing, too.
There you go.
But I don't know, if I'm really good at 10 incredibly difficult things, that's pretty cool. So, baseball player, rugby player, decathlete, those are my sports.
And currently the NWA champion. Guys, we're going to start wrapping it up now, but don't forget you can still get tickets, I believe, for NWA 76. So please do that. Yeah. So go and get yourself.
I hope your reach in Philadelphia market's good.
Yeah.
But no, you guys always get like proper online buzz, and you're always good to us, so I appreciate this.
Thank you. Not a problem at all. Yeah, go and get your tickets for NWA 76. Hey, if you're not in that area, go and get your tickets to Samhain when they go on sale. Billy, if you want to bring the NWA over to the UK at any point, I'm sure, we're more than happy.
I'll tell you what, too, if you want to go to NWA Exodus, our 1-year anniversary, August 24th, the week before 76, and that is in Cleveland, Ohio. If you mention you were sold by watching this podcast, I will give you a free t-shirt or something.
Yes,
there you go. You heard it from the man himself.
You heard it from the man himself. So please go and do that. On a slight side and a bit more serious note, after we went up, you may have seen Joe Garley's tweet the other day about Sal Ronaldo obviously being evicted from a property that he'd been living in for the last 14 years. And there was a GoFundMe raised for him. I think it's already smashed the target, but we will put the link at the bottom of the video if you'd like to. And we know, financial situations are tough, but if you have anything that you can give to Sal, we've made a donation ourselves, so it's not us being big, it's just us saying that. But if you'd like to do that, please do so. Like we said, NWA 76 coming up live, Exodus Pro coming up live the week before. Go and see that. Fee, we'll be back in the booth very, very shortly because we've got an episode of Power to review as we do
indeed.
On a Wednesday night. But EC3, it's been fantastic as ever to talk to you for the second time on the show.
Just really quickly before you go, thank you obviously for coming on. It's been lovely to catch up with you. Where can we find you on your socials?
Oh, at The Real EC3, THEREAL EC3. And then let's shoot for October to jump back on so I can pimp all the UK stuff I'll do. So.
Yes, and when that gets announced, hopefully if we're anywhere nearby, we will definitely pop and see the Overman.
I'm so unorganized, I wish I had more details.
That's fine.
Sporadic. I'm very sporadic.
No worries. Right. We will find out for that soon. But guys, we'll keep it locked at HTT Buckle on the X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it now. Hit the Turnbuckle podcast on all our social media platforms. She has been Miss Fiona Lochran. That man right below me has been the NWA World Heavyweight Champion EC3. Until next time, everybody, buckle down, stay safe, and good night.